So last season, the Giants had the luxury of having a potential future Hall of Fame quarterback as their backup, but now with him being retired and only Alex Tanney and Daniel Jones on the roster, there might need to be a backup quarterback for the 2020 season. So there's a few good free agents out there I wanted to talk about, some guys I'll name off at the end as well that could be some good options. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and let's get into it. So number one is Marcus Mariota. He'll be 26 years old for next year, the start of next year. There's really no chance the Titans franchise tag him because they have Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry as free agents, and you only get one franchise tag per year. So it would make no sense to franchise tag Mariota. He'll definitely be a free agent and get to, explore his options. A former second overall pick in 2015, so of course he was very talented in college, just didn't really pan out the way the Titans wanted to in the NFL. He's very conservative with the ball. That's, one thing that might have hurt him in his career, but also helps him. I know his red zone touchdown to interception ratio is tremendous. He really doesn't throw many red zone interceptions. He had a really good streak going for a while, so he has that going for him. He has some mobility like Daniel Jones. He's not really like a Lamar Jackson type guy, but at the same time does have mobility that you have to respect if you're on defense. And definitely has potential with a new team and a new system. So, sometimes with players, if they go to a different environment, for some reason they start playing better. And if Marcus Mariota goes to a different team and starts playing a lot better, it would not shock me. This guy has some talent. I just don't know what was going on last year, if his confidence was just shot or whatever it was. But in 2016, he did have a pretty good year, just under 3,500 yards, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So that's a good year right there. He just couldn't do it consistently. And back to his rushing, he's had 3 separate seasons over 300 rushing yards, so defenses have to respect his rushing ability. He's had 2 playoff starts in his career. He had the upset in Arrowhead in 2018 or 2017. I forget what year it was, the game where he passed the ball to himself basically and scored a touchdown, if you remember that play. I think they lost the next week against New England, but everyone expected that to happen. And of course, he was there for the playoff run this year, but he was a backup. He got in on some plays, like some trick plays and whatnot, but wasn't the starter, obviously. So he does have a lot of playoff experience. And he probably would cost a decent amount compared to these other guys on the list. He's still 26 years old. He's not really labeled a lifelong journeyman at this point in his career. Obviously, he might be a backup next year and probably has to compete for a spot. But compared to the other guys on this list, he probably would cost a lot more. So that's the one downside to Mariota. But outside of that, of course, I'd be interested, but it has to be for the right price. Personally, I would not spend over $2-3 million more on a backup quarterback. That would make no sense to me. You're hoping Daniel Jones can play a full season next year, but that's a concern. I didn't get into it before, but Jones is a guy who missed 2 games last year with the ankle injury. He probably could have played through it, honestly, but I think in college had a broken collarbone as well, so there's a bit of an injury history there. You have to be prepared for it, so obviously having a good backup quarterback might be very beneficial for the Giants next year, but obviously we hope that Daniel Jones is able to play all 16 and stay healthy. Number 2 is Case Keenum, age 32. So the Redskins really have no reason to keep him. He is a free agent next year. They already have Dwayne Haskins. They do have Alex Smith, who hopefully for his sake comes back and plays in the NFL. And they have Colt McCoy. So there's 3 other guys there. They have 4 quarterbacks right now that are, technically good enough to be starters. I don't know about Colt McCoy, but, Haskins is all right. Still young, obviously. Alex Smith, when he's healthy, is a good player. And then you have Colt McCoy, whatever, in case Keenum's like a borderline starter. So you have 4 guys there. They don't need all of them, of course. So he has played for 5 different teams, some good experience there. In 2017 had that great year with Pat Shurmur in Minnesota, went for 3,500 yards, 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I think they made it all the way to the NFC Championship game before getting killed by the Eagles, but at least they made it there. Had a positive touchdown to interception ratio from 2017 to 2019. You like seeing that, so a bit of improvement for him. And he definitely would have been a better fit with Pat Shurmur. I think if Shurmur was still the coach here, there'd be a lot of rumors about, those two reuniting. And, honestly, he's in Denver right now. And, Keenum once played for Denver, I think last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was. So wouldn't have shocked me if he went back there to back up Drew Lock, but we'll see. But he had 12 fumbles in 62 career games, with 12 fumbles lost, and Daniel Jones had 11 in 12 starts, so he's good at holding on to the ball. Definitely throw some interceptions here and there, so that's a problem for Case Keenum, but he's not too conservative, but has a higher upside. He's the type of quarterback that can come in and basically win any game. I feel like he might come in and surprise, or he might be complete garbage. You never know what you're getting, but that's just the inconsistency with a backup quarterback. And he's a good locker room guy and has a lot of knowledge. So, the Giants definitely like keeping Alex Tanney around because of his knowledge and his film study and whatnot, but I feel Case Keenum's a better player who can definitely do the same things. He probably would not cost them a lot of money. 32 years old. probably going to be a backup next year wherever he goes. I'd be surprised if he's giving a starting job. So, I think next year he'll be pretty cheap and he'd be a good option. So, I'd be fine with that. Depends on the price, obviously, but if they get him for like maybe $2 million in 1 year, I'd be definitely down for a Case Keenum as a backup quarterback, of course. Lastly, we have Chase Daniel, age 33, played with the Bears the last couple of years, so he's played for 4 teams since entering the league in 2010. Played with the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Saints, and the Bears, as I mentioned. He's been serviceable in his starts, especially the last couple of years. I've, watched him play when Mitch Trubisky was either hurt or just not playing well, and he wasn't too bad. He started against the Giants in a game in 2018. He put up 27 points. They went to overtime, but the Bears lost that game. But did have a couple of interceptions to Alec Ogletree, so, that's, Alec Ogletree is just a great player, so what can I say there? There's really nothing you can do. But, he definitely has a good amount of experience and did learn under Drew Brees for 4 seasons. He was there his first 3 years in the league and then went back in like 2017. So learning under Drew Brees and Sean Payton has to be beneficial in some way. He would not cost too much money. He's a lifelong backup, 33 years old. If I had to guess, probably would not cost too much. Definitely an upgrade over Alex Tanney, and they would have a similar role. They like Alex Tanney in the film room, as I said before, but I'm sure Chase Daniel, who's been around the game for a long time and been in the NFL for 10 years, can probably do around the same thing that Alex Tanney does. If you like Alex Tanney that much, then just make him some type of coach. There's really no point in making him a player on the roster taking up a roster spot. He has decent pocket awareness and mobility, so he's not the fastest guy. He won't put up great rushing numbers, but at the same time, he does have, if you give him a decent offensive line, he should be all right. He's not going to make these flashy throws and whatnot, but he can make some decent throws on the run. He can do the simple stuff and, can keep an offense moving, so he's not the worst option in the world. So that's pretty much it for guys I wanted to dive into. I'll name some other guys real quick. So one of them was Josh McCown, who was with the Eagles last year. So McCown was with the Jets a few years ago, then the Eagles last year. He retired in between that, but then decided to come back and play for the Eagles for half a year. So McCown will be 41 years old next year, but if you watch the Eagles and Seahawks game, he still proved that he can play in this league. I think he was playing injured too. I forget what the injury was, but it might have been like a torn hamstring or something. It was pretty serious, but whatever it was, he was playing well in that game. And 41 years old, he might decide to retire, but at the same time, if he comes back next year, maybe the Giants give him a 1-year deal. He did play locally for a couple years, with the Jets, and then played for the Eagles, who aren't too far. So maybe he likes this area, whatever it is. I don't know, but another guy is Brett Hundley, formerly with the Packers and then played for the Cardinals last year. I think he barely played last year, but he filled in for Aaron Rodgers a few times and wasn't terrible. He wasn't that good, but he wasn't terrible either. He's 27 years old, so there's some upside there. And the last guy is Jeff Driscoll. So Driscoll, I think, came up with the Bengals, but then played for the Lions last year, and he had 3 starts last season. He went in his first game, had 269 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And his rushing was 5 for 37 on the ground. In his second start, he rushed for 51 yards on 8 carries and a touchdown. And his last start was 63 yards on 9 attempts and did not score a touchdown. But still, it's very effective on the ground. They lost all 3 games, but he wasn't terrible. He had 685 passing yards and 3 starts, had 4 touchdowns passing and 4 interceptions. Well, 5 touchdowns total, 4 interceptions. So that's not terrible. Jeff Driscoll's not the best option, but definitely would not cost a lot of money. And I feel like he's all right. He adds an element with his legs and definitely can be, good in the read option with Saquon Barkley or whatever. So, that's definitely an option, and we'll see. I don't even know if he'll be on a team next year, but he's a guy that I watched last year. I might have picked up in fantasy football at one point too because I was desperate, but Jeff Driscoll definitely had some decent rushing upside, and he's not the worst quarterback in the world. Had some good moments. He only started 3 games, unfortunately, then got hurt, so that's something you have to watch out for. But outside of that, he wasn't too bad. So that's all I got for this video. Let me know in the comments who you want to be the backup quarterback next year. If you want to keep Alex Tanney, that's an option too, so let me know. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.